Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine show. I am your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. We are live on Twitch. We are live on the radio, GrooveRadioDetroit.com. We are live on Spotify. We're live on YouTube. Of course, same name of the show. We are live on my Facebook page, which is Sunshine Camila. Kamela, even though that is not how I spell my name. But however, find it how you need to find it. So we're gonna open up our Facebook page now so people can join in. I'm excited, of course. I'm always excited. For the simple fact that I am biased because all my guests are great. Also, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You are one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. It has been proven over and over again since this show has started. I am actually trying to find the Facebook page so everyone can get on. Again, tonight we have a wonderful guest. What is this? We're having trouble streaming to Facebook as made. Is it possible? Okay, give me a second. We're having technical difficulties. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get on now. It's still not showing. Let's see here. We're having trouble. We'll keep trying to let you know. Let's remove this. Delete. Okay, so I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying. Okay, let's remove this. We're gonna add. When you're always trying to do something new, something always trying to knock you off kilter, huh? But anyway, so while I'm trying to figure this out, there we are. I think I found me. So let's open. Change. All right. So I'm going to read his bio. I'm excited to learn more about this gentleman right here. Let's go to bio. So Mr. Dennis began his journey with wine at the tender age of 7 when he first helped his father create homemade wines from grapes, peaches, and pears, from fruit grown in their own backyard. As an adult, Dennis jump-started his interest in wine through a brother-in-law who worked for a premier retail wine shop in New York City. Learning how to pair wines with different foods, he began his wine education in earnest. Soon afterwards, he enrolled in the
Harriet Limbeck.
The wine school in New York City, and Kevin is Zarla.
Kevin Israeli School, which was
Really?
Windows of the World. Windows of the World.
Wine course where he successfully completed basic and advanced courses. So I'm gonna skip around because I'm excited to hear from him all the wonderful things that go into wine, picking the right wine, and learning more about wine, actually, because I mean, we all have seen the shows, and you feel like you don't know what you're doing and have no clue what you're doing when it comes to wine. So after being in this business for so long, and currently has been in the wine business, I said 30, but this says 28 years and counting. He has acquired the nickname the Tongue. As you can see on his picture where he's actually sipping the wine, we're going to get into all of that. So again, tonight, I want you to welcome Dennis Bullock to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me. I want to give all thanks and glory to God first, and I'm just excited to be here. Like I said, it's like every time I do an interview, it's like the first time I'm talking in front of a crowd or even one person. I'm always nervous.
Mm-hmm. So, like I told you before, this is a regular conversation. I don't do interviews. We're having just a catch up moment. For those who do not know, I actually met him through Main Event and Mr. Mark Bullock's Top of the Morning Prayer. He was scrolling through, and I went on his Facebook page, and I saw that he was, his profession is wine. I haven't had anyone on in this profession yet, so again, I just reached out. Of course, my big brother Maine was like, "Yeah, that might be somebody dope to talk to." So again, here we are through this conversation with them, and here we are to learn more about wine. So your bio said you began to get into wine when you were helping your father.
Yes, I was young. I didn't know exactly what was going on at that time. And my dad would say, "Son, come on downstairs." He called me Duke. "Come on downstairs, Duke, and help me." He was, and now what I know now, he was doing everything wrong. And even when I got older in the business, I didn't want to tell him because he had perfected whatever he was doing his way. But it was very funny that he was doing everything wrong in making wine and how wine is made. But his wine was good. The family loved it, and I was like 7 years old, picking grapes, picking peaches, and we were just making wine. And you would hear the combustion from the corks pop at any time because it's like a gunshot house because they would let the yeast build up and alcohol level would build up and that thing would fire off. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I started at a very young age, and every now and
So,
then I would sneak a sip. Used to sneak a
right.
sip every now and
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I said, so was you tipsy while you were helping?
then. Yeah, he would just give a little taste, and then I would steal one, I guess, one or two, just to get to know what he was doing. So I actually was I call his cellar rat. I was doing everything for him. He would just have me just do it for him, and
And so I
he
was
said,
just
"Dude,
reading in research of the book that I'm writing, the process of making wine. We're thinking that wine takes a short amount of time to actually ferment and all of that stuff, but it's actually longer to make a decent wine. I didn't know that.
yes, yes, it can be 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, or 24 months, depending on how long you want to leave it in oak. And oak barrels come from Yugoslavia, Slovenia, France, US. And you would leave your wines in oak. A lot of what I call young wines to drink early wouldn't even see oak. They just put them in stainless steel tank. That's things like sometimes Sauvignon Blanc is a wine that doesn't see oak, and it would just made fresh in the bottle. And that still takes a process at least 12 months.
Hmm. So, in your profession, what are the best types of wine?
Wow. I I gotta say, as a consumer, I would tell the consumer is what you like. I try to stay in the color of what you like. Let's say you like a dry white wine. I won't give you sweet. Let's call it colors. If you're green, I'm going to give you light green, dark green, any shade of green, mint green, but I won't give you red, brown, or blue. And that's the key to how I sell wine. I stay within the parameters of what the customer is asking for because I know what I like, but I got to find out what you like. And the way I sell wine is I have to sell what you like. You give me description, I'm like the doctor. When you say, well, doctor, it hurts here, I'm not going to go to your wrist here unless these joints are connected. I'm going to stick with where the problem is and I'm going to work in that area
Okay.
and wine. I'm not going to give you sweet if you like dry. And a lot of times in this profession, the consultant actually does not listen to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And they worry about, sometimes they were more worried about selling the brand than actual what the consumer likes, or even developing the consumer to from a sweet wine to a little bit dry wine until ultimately a dry wine in time. Because I've converted many of people who only like sweet wine. Over time, they develop a drier palate, and their broad range, of wines that they like becomes expanded.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think we went to a city here in Michigan called Traverse City, and they have a lot of wineries there, and that was our first time doing wine tasting. And I found that a lot of the ones I like were sweet.
Hmm.
I didn't like the dry, and it all depends on, I guess. Um, I couldn't even tell you, but I know I like sweet. Um and I was like, from the taste that we were doing, I would love to go back to different wine tasting, different places, just to try something different. So from the time you were a kid to in your adults, where in between did you know that this is something that you wanted to do as a profession?
Wow, that's a good question. Let me big up to Michigan with the sweet wines because Michigan makes some awesome sweet wines. Their red dry wines could be a little mix up and down, but they spot on with their Rieslings. They have a winery out there that's dynamite. So, and getting back to the second question, how did I come into this? I knew when I went to. I'll go back to the beginning of the story. The beginning of the story is I was working at UPS, and I got to a point in my young 20s, my late young 20s, asking myself what I really want to do with myself. So my sister's ex-husband actually worked for a couple of premier wine shops in Manhattan. And I said to him, I said, what do you do for a living? And he goes, because he's well dressed. He was a very clean, well dressed guy. And he said, I sell wine for a living. I said, you do what? He says, I sell wine for a living. So I said, well, they pay you for that? And he goes, yeah, they pay me for that. I was like, I want to do that. I like drinking. And
Right.
so, so, so the story goes, and then he says, well, come live with us in New York City. And I stayed in Harlem, and he sent me to a Harriet Lindbeck class. And I took the class and excelled in this field. When I mean excel, I was taking tests and getting 96, 97, 98s, things I didn't really see in high school. I wish I would have knocked them 98s and 97s down in high school, but and also in college. But wine I was good at. And Harriet came to me one day. She said, you're pretty good at this. Once you learn the lingo, I think you're going to be really good at this.
Mhm.
And and she built my confidence up from the start. Harriet Lindbeck built my confidence from the start. And then I came home, and after I passed the basic class, my brother-in-law said, okay, I get you a job in a wine shop in New York City, which is called Garnett Wines. Garnett Wines is one of the premier wine shops in New York City. And Garnett, um, and um, and right before that, he was actually working at Zacky's, but he left. I was supposed to start at Zacky's, but I never started Zacky's, so he brought me to Garnett, and I started at Garnett, and it was on 72nd and uh, Amsterdam Ave, and I'm sorry, 72nd Lexington. Garnett was banging back then. I was actually thrown to the wolves. The wine shop was very upbeat, busy. It was right by Hunter College. It was crazy. So I worked with a great group of guys there, were managers. They actually, I can name them, and David Lilly, Peter Nolis, Jean Claude. All those guys actually would teach me wine every day. Teach me about high end Burgundies, high end Cabernets, high end Rhone wines, and I was kind of thrown to the wolves. And I became once I learned the lingo, I became better. But even before me learning the lingo of wine, the wine talk, my brother-in-law wanted me to start in the basement. But before I got onto the wine sales floor, I actually started in the basement, at least 60 days in the basement, because he wanted me to learn the wine labels before coming up. So he said, if you want to learn this business, you got to start in the basement. And I was like, hey, I got my degree. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. He's like, start in the basement. So that started. And then I ran into a fellow who became, he started liking me. His name was Charlie Massey. And he said, hey, kid, there's a job over in New York, in New Jersey, in Fort Lee. The owner's a buddy of mine. I want you to come work there for him. So I went to go work for Carlo Russo's in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Carlo, Carlo, and then turned, I was like the assistant manager. And very shortly, I rose as the general manager of there and and Carlo actually showed me how to taste wine, how to hand sell it. He was one of the most influential bosses I ever worked for. And they treated me like family. And it was dynamite working there. But Carlo was getting old, um, and I knew I was growing in the wine industry, and then I had to leave there. And I worked for another store called Gary's Wine and Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And there I learned each store I ever worked at, I picked up a different trade. With Gary's, I picked up how to nurture customers, and I became a fine wine salesman for Gary's Wine and Marketplace, and pretty much I dealt with a lot of high net worth clients, and that's one of my claim to fame in this industry, that I have a black book of really good clients. And I would say 50% of those clients are some of my best friends to this day. So I just don't use people through business. I've become friends with them. And I mean, when I mean friends of christenings, baby christenings, I've been at weddings of theirs, and actually took in trips with them. So that's pretty much brought you up to speed until like 1999 of when I was in the industry. Do you want me to continue? Keep running
So
through
I'm
my
I'm I'm still so let's go into in the stores that you worked at, um the clientele, were there restaurants, or like, so what are, or who are the clients that you're buying or selling wine to?
wow. They were from all over the country. I've sold wine to collectors. There's some huge collectors out there. There's collectors that have a lot of income, that they like what they want, and they just buy it by the case, by the bottle. And I've sold. I think my single largest sale record today, cash, was $200,000 cash. I can't name the client, but but $200,000 cash was the one, my single one person sale.
Wow. Cash.
Cash.
Hmm. Praise the Lord. So um so on the average, what is the normal price for a good wine?
Hey, the beauty of I can give you a good wine at $9.99. I can give you a really good wine at $24.99. I think the average consumer could be somewhere between 15 to 25 is a safe range to buy wine, depending on where your dollar is in your pocket. But there's a lot of good wine out there from all over the world at $9.99. You just have the right person to give it to you. There's a
Okay.
lot of, but there's the there's another range between 55 to 75. Um, that's a really good area, but I think as far as a person's palate will have to be equal with that dollar range, because if not, I can give you a $90 bottle and it would taste just like shoe polish to you. It wouldn't make a difference,
Yeah.
So your palate will have to grow, I guess, with your dollar. And what I do with a lot of consumers is that whether they have deep pockets or not, I would start them at their range and just let them graduate, because your palate gets better. It's almost like you grow from Michael Kors to Chanel, and from Chanel to Louis Vuitton, and you just keep growing as you can have the money already, but you start here, you won't understand it. It's the growth in wine, and also you would want to expand your palate. So I, I would show you different things. Like there's great champagnes of the world, and champagne is nothing really but three grapes: Pinot Meunier, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir. So it's like there's great wines all regions of the world, and you just have to find them.
Okay.
Switzerland has
So
great wines. Portugal has great wines.
Portugal.
Portugal.
Okay. So in my head, of course, not being educated in the field that you're in, I'm assuming my first thought was Italy, right? No.
That's where you first started. It's
No,
okay.
that's in my head that I'm thinking the best
Oh,
wine
where's
comes
the
from
best
Italy.
wines from Italy? Oh, now you're gonna start a war. You're gonna have people calling me up. uh, I I can tell you what I like.
Okay.
I can tell you what I like. Like, um, if you came to my house, I collect and I love Bordeaux. I love Burgundy. I love Champagne. I love port. I love wines from Alsace, which I love wines from the Loire Valley. I love Côte de Rhône from France, south of France. That would be the core. What I drink Malbec. I drink Rioja from Spain. I drink a lot of different things, but what I collect, like my personal taste, is going to be first Bordeaux. Bordeaux is my one. Burgundy and Bordeaux is my first love, then Champagne.
And why is that?
Um, I think the way the sophistication of Bordeaux, the way it matures in the bottle, the way it matures in the glass, when you taste it, it just is not one dimensional. It has different layers to it. And if you because you can get that spending anywhere between 25 to 40 bucks. And and in Bordeaux, sometimes 45 bucks wines, if you bought a $45 Bordeaux in in 70s, that particular bottle is worth 700 to today. So
Hmm.
it became a commodity also. So I buy to collect as well as for my personal taste, and also um, I've bought and sold wines over the years.
Hmm. So have you ever been in a place, you know how like we see wine cellars in movies a lot of time, because I have never personally been to a wine cellar. Um, have you been invited? I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully he'll be back. So I hope you guys are enjoying. Think he's might be back.
I'm here.
I can't see you now.
Um, okay, I should be coming back now.
There you go.
That was
So
my
have you
daughter
been?
blowing up my phone.
Oh, have you been personally invited to somebody's personal wine cellar collection?
Yes, part of what I do also, I help people evaluate their seller. I evaluate sellers as well. Let you know the price of it. I'll record the dollar value of it. So for insurance purposes, you have that. And also I do it for logging purposes. Like you want to pull a bottle out and um, and you just go through it and forget that you what you have. So I come in and I'll set, just do inventory. I'll do
Okay.
inventory. And I work a
Um.
lot of times with wine guys who want to get rid of the wine cellars. I work with auction houses. I work with private brokers. I do a little bit of a jack of all trades that way.
Okay. Um. Let's see. So with your wife, like say for instance, if is she into wine too, or
I graduated her into wine. She drank some wine in the beginning, but now she has. I took her to Italy, and she asked more eh, smarter questions than I did. She, once she's adapted, her palate adapted from sweet to dry. She was just like a Chardonnay gal, and then she went from Chardonnay to Sauvignon Blanc, and and I think the problem with her that everything that I bring and I think I'm gonna get it off on her, she's like, nope, it tastes cheap. So she has a very expensive palate. So she likes, and it's just that she doesn't see a tag on it. She just know what she likes, and she'll tell me,
hmm
this is cheap. I'm like, you're right, it's $10.
right? Wow. So someone has a question. The question is, why should red wine be served at room temperature?
Red wine should be served at room temperature, but you can add a chill to certain grape varieties, like Pinot Noir, Gamay. Um, you can add a chill, but room temp is the optimal um, way to serve red wine, dry red wine. Sweet red wine, you can add a chill to it, but dry red wine, room temp.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask this. So what wine is best with certain meats, like a steak or fish or something like that? Which wine is best, or is that based off of your own personal palate?
It's no, it's there's a what I call poultry. Certain wines go under that group. All different styles of certain wines that go under poultry. Different wines go under steak or like grilled or quail or something gamey. There's different wines that go under those groups. Like let's say, for instance, you could do Pinot Noir. Let's just throw it out there. Turkey, turkey, light fishes, not no oily fish, but light fishes. You could do Pinot Noir. You can do Dolcetto from Italy. Um, Cabernet Sauvignon steak all day. Barbecue ribs. There's whether it's pork or beef. You can do red Zinfandel. You can do Shiraz. But I personally, let's just say it's Thanksgiving, and I did a whole thing article on Thanksgiving back in the '90s, and Thanksgiving is a multiple different food fest. There's no way that you're going to pair one wine everything that you have at the table, whether it's a seven fish dinner, whether it's lasagna, whether it's yams, whether it's macaroni and cheese, whether it's potato salad. You not, I say Thanksgiving time, buy what you like to drink and enjoy it. Because most of the time, wine is made for having company, made for drinking with family, friends. The consumption of it is a joyous occasion and a harmonious occasion with food. So I would say wine and food have a pairing and a love together, and with people is just expands the whole experience. I had a customer come to me just 2 weeks ago, but over time you always get the same question: how come this wine tastes better? How come this wine didn't taste the way it is? Is it the sulfites here in the U.S. I said, well, where were you? I was in Tuscany, Italy. I said, well, Tuscany, Italy. Who was with you? My wife. I said, where'd you have it? A little quaint restaurant. I said, you have kids with you? He go, no. The wine tastes better because this experience was better,
Mm-hmm.
and your background was better. You didn't have no kids, so that whole experience made that wine taste better to him. But that's the same wine that he got in the U.S. and it didn't taste as good because the experience he's lost.
Okay. So we have another question on the table. What's the biggest myth about tasting wine or choosing wine?
Wow, wine can be intimidating because when you walk into a wine shop, I see this all the time, whether people want help or don't want help or just don't want my help. They walk in and they're looking like, unless they go into vodka, gin, rum, they cruise the aisle. And those who accept help, I point them in the right direction and then I gently engage them. But the most intimidating thing about it, the myth of wine. I don't think there's a myth of wine. Like there's like I always believe like what you like is what you like, and whether it's $4.99 or $9.99, my job is to educate you and teach you that there's better things out there, and if you like them, great, and I will elevate you and move you through. I don't think there's a myth with wine. Um, I think that wine is intimidating. The talk of wine is intimidating, um, and the fact that people say, "Oh, that's too dry. I don't like it." I don't think that you really don't like it. I think that you just don't have enough repetition of trying dry wines. Because back in the day, I'm showing my age. I was drinking Cisco, Wild Irish Rose, 40 ounces. A couple of years later, I'm drinking Mouton Rothschild, Chateau Lafite, Chateau Beaucastel, some of the great wines of the world. And I went from super like sweet or whatever or cheap, and I moved through over repetition. I moved my kids, who my kids grew up knowing about wine, and they moved on to drinking champagne, prosecco, and things like that. My wife, same way. So, and there's a lot of consumers that say, "Well, Dennis, it's your fault. Your fault that I spend more money now." It's not my fault. I just moved you along to show you to show, open up. I just opened the book up and just gave you chapters. That's all I did. And what you
So
did is source. Go ahead.
so can you explain the difference between the dry wine and the different types of wine? Because you telling me dry is not dry to me. So what does that mean?
well, I want to. I don't know the percentage right now off the top of my head, but I want to say there's a huge percentage of wines that are made dry versus sweet. There's a very small percentage, other than if you go to certain areas like Germany or Alsace, like or Portugal. There's the majority of the wines are made in Italy. There's different grape varieties, all made dry, but then they have the Moscato d'Asti. Then they'll have Brachetto d'Acqui, which is up in Piedmont, northern Italy. So they'll have their pockets of where wines are sweet, but surrounding all of that is all dry wines. So what makes a wine dry is what they call tannins. Tannins mixed with acidity. Acidity is what makes you, like you bite into a pickle. When you bite into pickle, that astringentness, that's acid. Sweet is on the front of your tongue. Acid is on the back. And the weight of a wine, when I taste the wine, the weight of the wine is dead center for me. And then I have this little guy inside of me, like with a lever to tell me almost how much alcohol is in it. I can taste the wine and be like, wow, that tastes like 14.5. And they'd be like, yep, you're right, D. It's 14.5. And
Mm-hmm.
I can taste alcohol. I'm pretty good at that. And one of my customers coined me as the tongue because I went with a couple of blind tastings and I nailed it. Nailed it. I don't have my master of wines. I'm not a master of wine, but I I bet if I took in a course, I can do well
Mm-hmm.
because
So
I do
is
have.
it true about, when they swirl in the wine or taste cheese, and so is that a thing?
Yes, yes. So I just have a small glass, but you pour into the glass, and you will see the legs. The legs is the alcohol level. You'll see them just dissipate down the glass, and it shows you the legs of it. Um, you second, you'll look for color, whether it's red wine. You see the clarity of the wine. You can see it a wine if it's filtered or non-filtered. Non-filtered would be cloudy. Filtered would be clear. And then you would stick your nose in it. Stick your nose in it, and a little swirl would bring up the aromatics of the wine. And then sometimes I do it. I don't know. Sometimes it's a habit because I'm always professionally tasting at work. I'll go to a restaurant and I'll be like this, and then stick your nose in it, taste it, and then usually the sommelier or the person bringing over wine at the table, whoever ordered the bottle, usually is the first one to taste the wine. And
Mm-hmm.
when you smell the wine, taste the wine, your choice is there to tell the sommelier uh, um, or the wine steward there whether it's acceptable or not acceptable.
Okay.
And that's usually the criteria levels of tasting wine.
I have another question. If you could only drink one wine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Wow. One wine? Domaine de la Romani Conti, 1985.
Okay. Is
And
is there a
that's a
special
red
reason
burgundy.
for that one?
That's a red burgundy. That is a
Mm-hmm.
red burgundy. That's Pinot Noir. And I don't know, I just love that wine. I had it before, and when I drank it, I didn't know what I was tasting, but I knew I liked it a lot, and I was just getting into the game of wine, and I wouldn't even begin to know what the cost per bottle of that. I want to say definitely over 10,000 easily per bottle,
How much?
over 10 G's a bottle, one bottle. If I had my phone right now, I can look it up. I'm betting it's 17, somewhere between 17K a bottle.
Wow. Hmm.
If I hit the lottery, would I buy it? Nah.
So if you're not buying the bottle yourself, where do you actually get to taste that particular wine?
Um, I have very good wine friends, and we get together, but at least once a year, twice a year, where the theme of the night would be 1990, 1985, and somebody will bring something super extraordinary like that to that, and it'll just be whether it's a restaurant, BYOB, and they'll just bring it, or and it's like one of you when you hang with them, it's like step your game up. So I got to show up with something like hot shot too, you know. But I would with wine groups like that, I would get a chance to try something like that.
Okay. So for a beginner who's never really got into wine or really tasted wine, what would your recommendation be?
Ooh, okay, red wine. I would suggest them to start with Pinot Noir and see if they like the Pinot Noir. And if they say to me, well, that's not too dry, I say, well, try this Cabernet. And if they say, well, yeah, I like that, then I'll say, well, next time you come in, I'll give you a Merlot to try. And and then from there on, I would just move them all inside of that red wine category. And with the same grape varieties, I just give them different producers to see what they like. Cause some producers are a little bit softer, a little bit drier, and I'll just move them around. And every time they come back to me, I'll make another recommendation. And then I'll come back and say, well, what do you like and what do you didn't like? They said, well, I like the wine, Dennis. You spot on. And I'm like, good, good. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. And one
Okay.
of the joys in my field, somebody came into, was it Saturday? No, actually it was yesterday. Husband and wife came into the shop where I work at, and they said, well, we coming back for another case of wine because we love the case that you gave us. And they was anywhere between 25 to $50 a bottle. But the beauty of that is that it lets me know when I come to work, I'm just not just say, here, try this, here, take this. And I really walked around and took my time to make sure, one, I have to impress them before I do anything. Because I can sell wine all day, but once you sell yourself, the wine becomes behind it. And the people will have to trust me. They have to trust me first before I can just feel confident to give them something. So I sell myself before I sell wine because the wine does the job by itself. I can talk about it all day, but if you don't like it, you're not going to like it regardless.
Right. And I think that's really good, especially in that type of business or sales period. um I would say 90%, if not 95%, is customer service. um and I think that since you explained that, education or selling yourself versus the product is a good way to go, because again, if I do trust you and I feel good about who you are
Hmm.
as a person, most likely I will buy any. You probably could sell me Nevada right now, and I will be okay with it. But again, this conversation about wine, especially when you're trying to move up, um, and get away from the 40 ounces and all of those beers and things of that nature. Not that I drink that, but however, when I do go out with my husband, to be able to have a good wine while we're dining, or just having a moment at home, just, babe, you want something to drink tonight? Sure. And find that our favorite, our taste buds together. So again, this is very enlightening to me, with learning more about wine, the difference of the dry wines and the sweets, and also to get away from the stigma that, as we said, we first came on, that you love God, that we can't drink, and no. So again, these moments of something I heard you say was the companionship, the relationship that goes with the wine, the experience that you enjoy with the wine is different every time that you drink it because of the company that you have or the atmosphere that
Right.
you're in. So I appreciate you even breaking that down even further about the good sweet tasting wine, the good dry wine, your favorite wine, and even teaching your family about the importance of a great wine.
Yeah, it's one thing about my job is the easiest part about it is that when the consumer enters the store, they're there to buy something. I'm just a, the, I'm just a tour guide, and it's not like I'm selling vacuum cleaners, where I'm coming door selling something to you. You're there. You want something because you're inside the store, so you're already engaged in what you want. And even if from a restaurant perspective, you sit down at the table, you ask to see the wine list. So therefore, you want something off that list. My job is to either let you choose or tell you if you have an Italian wine, this is what I have I think you would like. For example, when you go into if you're doing Italian, I prefer to sell people Italian wines because it's like going ordering steak from a chicken place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're seafood and if you're one of the best fish houses around, I'm not going to sell you meat. I'm going to sell you fish. So
Exactly.
that's how I keep it within the guidelines. And
Good.
as far as consumers, I think some of the best consumers are the ones that are willing to step out of buying that same wine that they like every day. The same brand, the same brand. I I would like to see people experience. There's so many different wines. Try more,
Mm-hmm.
But you like what you like, so I just give it to you. You like what you like, but if I can get you to say, well, I like the Chardonnay. Well, try this other Chardonnay, and you find out 9 times out of 10 you're gonna like this one, even if it's cheaper or a dollar more. But I try to kind of stay within a person's financial wheelhouse. Instead of saying, "Well, I have a $10 budget, but I'm handing you a $17.99 wine." That's a no-no because that now will become forceful on a consumer.
Mm-hmm. So, is there a website or a social media handle for people to ask you questions about wine or to, I don't know, you sell them wine? I don't know. But is there a way that they can support you?
I am very totally public. My number is 201-281-2247. You can always call me. You can text me. My Facebook is Dennis Bulluck. You can inbox me. I will make recommendations all day. I help educate. I'm a big person to help educate people in wine. And if you're a collector, I help fill your cellar. If you want to sell it, I help sell that too. But yeah, so I can help people like if they have any questions. I'm free to help.
Good. I'm again, thank you for stopping by the platform tonight to educate us on wine. I'm actually in the point where I'm like, oh, this weekend, what wine am I gonna buy? Oh, to really excited about getting my own bottle to share with my husband to make some memories with that. Um, Let me ask you this one more question. When it comes to wine and the level of alcohol, which bottles are the ones that have more alcohol in it versus not?
Oh, they call it sometimes more sweeter wines have low alcohol. 11%, 7%, 12%. 12% enters the drier range of wine. 12%. 13.5, 14.5, and it goes up to 16. Some ports are 20%. So it's sweeter, lower alcohol, drier, high alcohol. That's the easiest way to
Okay,
remember it.
got you. So are we looking forward to having your own wine collect? I mean, your own wine company? Are you
I
making
have,
wine yourself?
I am in the process of leaving retail, working for, and I'm very focused on landing my own wine shop as part of my tail off my retirement. Is a I'm looking currently daily at wine shops and stores and acquisitions of it. Because I that's my top end. I have 15 years probably left to sell wine. I'm probably going to do 15 years of wine traveling. I still got bucket list stuff like Switzerland, Greece. I had places that I still want to go in wine, and I got customers. So I do wine travel. Within what I do wine travel. I've taken groups to Italy over the years. I've taken groups to France to Beaune. We participated in auctions. We one of the groups a 10-bedroom chateau in Pointe-Marchais. We spent I want to say 3 days in Paris, and then we went over to Beaune, and we just went to restaurants and just walked the town and had a good time. So I do wine travel. I do locally. I do bus tours to the wineries. Um, I I support a lot of times the Deltas and AKAs and their fundraisers, and I do a lot of charity stuff and through wine. May 1st, I just did a walk around wine tasting for my church in Texas, and in support of the Jewish celebration. And we did good. We even had Cool Bell from Cool in the Gang there. He was pouring a champagne called Cool Le Cool. So we had a good time. People came out, supported, and DJ Apollo Jest, he's Apollo's official DJ. He was there on the ones and twos, and we had a good time. We raised funds. I gave raised funds. I gave away auction off bottles, and a lot of my friends helped support me, and I love them to death for that.
Wow, that's amazing. Again, thank you for this education, for this time to share of your experience in the wine company business. Again, everyone that's on, everyone that will come on later, please support him. If you need to get in contact with him, he did give his number. If you didn't get it, you can inbox me and I'll get it for you. Again, thank you so much for sharing this evening with us.
Thank
And
you.
I appreciate it. Again, this won't be the last time you'll be on. Of course, when everything is settled with you, um, just let me know, and we'll definitely be on again to share in the new adventure about your wine business.
I definitely appreciate you, sis.
No problem.
See you
Again,
9
we
a.m.
believe
tomorrow.
right. Again, we believe in 6 degrees of separation. You are one person away, one advice away, and one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. And we're out. See ya.